We continue with our midseason prospect check-in by looking at the 2023 draft class and why it could be setting up to be a franchise changer for the Sharks.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker of the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. It's Tuesday's episodes with Seth. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen, proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. If you want to be an everyday, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. If you want to watch on YouTube, go ahead, hit the little like button, hit the subscribe. That way, one, helps me out. You know exactly when the new episodes drop. So today we're going to be digging into the 2023 class as we continue kind of our midseason prospect check-in, looking at how guys like Will Smith, Quentin Musty, Kasper Halttunen, how their seasons have gone. Some of them a little bit better than others. Look at who potentially in the late rounds might end up being gems for the Sharks, and just kind of checking in on a bunch of these guys. So let us start, of course, with Will Smith, who was the 4th overall pick in that 2023 class. And the Sharks in this class, I guess I'll just start with who's actually the Sharks pick. So all these guys, of course, since this was just the 2023 draft, all these guys are still under Sharks control. So Will Smith was 4th overall, Quentin Musty 26th overall, Kasper Halttunen 2nd round pick 36th overall, in the 3rd round Brandon Svoboda 71st overall, Luca Cagnoni in the 4th round 123rd, Axel Landin 130th overall 5th round, Eric Polkamp 5th round pick as well, David Klee in the 7th, and Igor Gramashevsky in the 7th as well, picks 196 and 203. All these guys still under Sharks control. None of them have been traded or anything like that, which would, again, make sense. This was my career's first real draft class, as, again, when he was hired before the 2022 draft class. He was there for a whopping 20 minutes, it felt like, before he had to go to the draft. This was the first one where it was his team scouting, laying the kind of digging through and like having a full season to prepare for this draft. And while some of the kind of mid-season check-ins right now might be a little disappointing, I'm not worried about like any of these guys, and especially two guys we'll talk about here in a little bit, Quentin Musty and Kasper Halttunen. And it's mainly because they just need to play games. But let's start, of course, with Will Smith, who making his NHL debut, signed right this season, signed his ELC, has been playing with the San Jose Sharks. Of course, the Sharks have had, a little bit of a development plan for Will Smith, kind of especially early in the season, keeping him out of back-to-backs, giving him development days as he continues to, make that transition from NCAA hockey to professional hockey. And to be honest, I think he's having a pretty good season. And if it wasn't for Macklin Celebrini doing insane Macklin Celebrini things, we'd be talking about, man, Smith's having a pretty solid rookie season. So for Will Smith, 35 games played so far, 6 goals, 8 assists. Remember, he didn't get his first goal until like 9 games into the season. 49 shots on goal, playing 14-20 a night, 46.55 Corsi for, 39.47% goals for. And while none of those numbers really kind of blow you away, like I think the Corsi for is really positive. It's actually 8th best among the Sharks. So when he is on the ice, he is helping to produce positive results. He's creating shot attempts. And there's plenty of stuff that Will Smith needs to work on. I think as he continues to get stronger, you're going to see his board play increase. He's probably not going to lose as many pucks. Like that's kind of his big thing is, especially along the boards. He has a tendency to lose pucks there. And those are expected with normal 19-year-old kids in the NHL. But you see plenty of flashes of what makes Will Smith special, right? The playmaking, the transition, his vision, especially in exiting the zones and finding open teammates, his handles. I think he's really started to kind of find that line of what can I do, what can I get away with, and what can I not get away with in the NHL yet. Like he's really, I think, starting to kind of find that line. And again, if Macklin Celebrini wasn't playing on the Sharks right now, we would be kind of gushing about Will Smith. And I think he just gets overshadowed because Macklin Celebrini is a freak of nature. Like, I think 14 points in 35 games, and realistically 14 points in like 25 games. Because if you kind of take out the first 9 or 10 where he didn't score at all, that's not a bad, like, that's a pretty solid contribution, pretty solid production, especially for a 19-year-old kid. And I think we really have seen him grow since the Sharks moved him from center to wing, which is something I kind of all summer was like, is Will Smith going to play center? Is he going to play wing? I think for now, for Smith, making his life as easy as possible by playing him on the wing, and then just have him on the Tomas Hertl plan, right? Once he kind of grows into his body a little bit more, then you move him to center. Like, this guy's played center his entire life. Yes, there will be a transition period, but I'm not worried about that at all. I think for Will Smith right now, it's trying to make his life as easy as possible as he kind of navigates through the NHL. And I know the point production right now is maybe kind of taking a little bit of a lull, like a little bit of a dip, but I still love what I'm seeing from Smith kind of on most nights. And I think you're seeing him continue to be, getting opportunities, which is the big thing, right? Is he's earning the trust from Warsawski to kind of get some of these opportunities, right? He's been moved up to the first power play unit. He's not getting like just completely benched every night. You kind of seen that ice time, just little ticks up here for Will Smith. And I think those are all positive signs for him. And again, like, he's not going to be Macklin Celebrini, but for a guy who, there was a lot of questions if he should go back to the NCAA or go, come out. I told you guys it was going to be a rough year. He's going to probably get his butt kicked for the year, but he's going to be a better player at the end of it than if he had just stayed at Boston College and just dominated. And like, he's just going to be a better player because of kind of going through these struggles for him. So, and kind of learning through this stuff and kind of going through this process. So I think for Will Smith, so far you have to be pretty excited about at least how the season's gone, especially after that first kind of 10-game mark, when I think you really settled in. And then kind of you seeing those flash, and it's almost like nightly, right? Where you're seeing that flash, at least like once a shift, where okay, you see why he's such an exciting prospect. And so it's a long way to go. It's a lot of stuff he needs to work on, but I think so far so good for Will Smith in his first kind of 35 games here. So another guy who, of course, was the first round pick in that draft was one Quentin Musty. And Musty this year, 11 games in the OHL with the Sudbury Wolves, 8 goals, 12. So he's 20 points, 11 games with 59 shots on goal. Unfortunately for Musty, this has not been the season I think he expected, right? Sat out the first month as he hoped, asked for a trade from Sudbury, didn't get it. Returns, plays 11 games, and then breaks his hand. I did reach out to Ben Leeson, who does a really great job of covering the Wolves. Asked if we should be expecting to see Musty anytime soon. He says, from kind of talking to him, Musty's been on the ice. It looks like he's starting to kind of ramp up here. So hopefully we can see Quentin Musty back on the ice. And I think having a really strong second half to this season would do him wonders because it has been a horrible first half, right? With missing a whole month, not even making the Sharks out of camp, missing a whole month, breaking his hand. There's rumors that he wasn't even going to get invited to Team USA's camp. And then now Team USA, of course, wins gold. Like, I think for Musty, he would love to just get on the ice right now and play some games and kind of get back to doing Quentin Musty things because when he's on the ice, he's an absolute force. And just as a reminder for Musty, he can play in the AHL next year. Like, he'll be good to go. As soon as his Sudbury season is over, he can actually jump up or as soon as his OHL season, assuming he doesn't get traded on Thursday to another OHL team. But as soon as this season's over, he can he can go to the AHL and play AHL games. So we might see a little bit of Quentin Musty at the end of the season here if Sudbury gets knocked out quickly in the playoffs. But so we'll see. I think he's just one of those guys who just kind of unfortunately, right, because of the CHL NHL agreement, not old enough to play AHL games. Definitely I think needed more of a challenge than what he was getting in the OHL, and unfortunately he got neither because he's missed a good chunk of this season due to injuries and a holdout. So hopefully we get him back here really, really soon. So we're going to continue talking about Kasper Halttunen, Brandon Svoboda at USA, Victor, Luca Cagnoni, some of the late round gems here as we continue this 2023 draft check-in right now. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. If you want to go to the tank, catch a game, maybe you want to go catch a game at the Warriors or wherever you want to see live events, you need to check out Game Time. Game Time is a new feature that makes it even easier to get tickets with Game Time picks. The feature filters out fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I use Game Time all the time, especially when I go to the tank. We used it 2 weekends ago to go see the Sharks Flames. Great seats, 10 rows up, right behind Askarov. Got to watch him do Askarov things. Highly recommend watching Askarov do Askarov things in Game Time. Made it super easy to find tickets for my family and my father-in-law. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON, NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, let us continue. We're going to look at continue our 2023 draft class, but do want to, of course, thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. When you're done checking out this episode, go check out the Locked On Fantasy Hockey. If your fantasy hockey team needs some help, right? Who to start, who to sit, drop, waivers, all that fun stuff, they've got you covered. Or check out any of the shows here in the Bay Area. Locked On Warriors, can we get Steph some help? Locked On Niners, are they going to find a special teams coordinator or bring Robert Saleh back? A lot of fun stuff I'm sure that's going on over there. Locked On A's, Locked On Giants, plenty of great stuff here at the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. All right, let us continue. Second round, Kasper Halttunen, who actually started this year because remember, since when he was drafted, he was over in Finland and playing in the Liga. He could start this season in the AHL because despite his age not being 20. So Kasper Halttunen this year has played. He played 6 games with the Barracuda, had 2 goals, 2 assists, 12 shots on goal. Got a concussion, was knocked out for a while, then returned to London. With London, he's played 9 games, 2 goals, 4 assists, 40 shots on goal. And then has just completed a run to the silver in the World Juniors this year. Halttunen, he needs to play. And I'm not worried about Halttunen because, again, like London is probably going to make a really deep run, right? Kasper Halttunen had a huge playoff run last year, was a massive piece to London's run to win the OHL. I didn't expect them to do it again. So maybe he hasn't played as many games as you like, right? 15 games. I mean, Quentin Musty has played 11 and he has a broken hand and sat out a month. Kasper Halttunen has played like 4 more games than Quentin Musty has this year. I'm not worried because he's going to be playing a bunch of games in the OHL or in this kind of second half OHL playoffs. He had a huge playoff run last year. Not worried about him. He's gotten a little bit more ice time with London, kind of playing in top 6 minutes now instead of last year where he's playing third line minutes. I think he's going to continue to, the same stuff we need to see from Kasper Halttunen to get better. I think it's that kind of first step in his skating. Not a big like skating breakdown guy, but if I can see like you're not quick enough on your first step. That's a huge thing for him. And I think as the competition gets more difficult and difficult, he's going to have to continue to work on that. So, but I think he's going to continue to play a big part of London in their run to try to repeat this year. And he'll be in full time in the AHL next year with the Barracuda, blasting one-timers on the power play. So, it just needs to play some more games right now. So, third round pick, Brandon Svoboda, playing this year at Boston University. Also hasn't played a lot of games, dealt with the injury as well. 11 games, 3 goals, 0 assists, 12 shots on goal. Also was on Team USA's kind of fourth line in their run to the gold this year. And I think for Svoboda, the big question is like, what is he going to be, right? And this guy so far has been a winner. 2-time winner, USHL, on Team USA, gold. I think like his role for the Sharks, and like don't expect it. Like he's going to be one of those guys who probably plays all 4 years of college, goes professional, and then he's just going to be one of those guys you can just kind of probably drop into the lineup type of guys where he's going to play bottom six. He's probably going to be big, heavy kind of forward for like on the bottom six, who's going to provide some scoring pop. Definitely a massive like net front presence type of guy. I think he just needs to I think he's kind of figured out what he's going to be for the Sharks and what they kind of want him to be. I think he just needs to keep working on that. So I think for Svoboda, if you get a third round pick who can play NHL games for you and has a role, that's perfectly fine for especially with how this Sharks draft is really shaping up elsewhere. So, like I said, I think Svoboda, he's going to let him simmer in college. I think he's going to be, he's going to do what he needs to do there. Hopefully he can stay healthy and just he's going to play some big games for Boston University over the upcoming years. Like he's going to be playing big time hockey for them. Just let him simmer and do his thing. So next guy is having a monster season. Luca Cagnoni, fourth round pick, of course, playing this season with the Barracuda in the AHL. 32 games, 8 goals, 22 assists, 55 shots on goal. Luca Cagnoni, what more can you say about him? Again, he was able to jump because of his birthday, right? Late December birthday, where he turned 20. He was able to kind of make that jump. Barracuda really were like, if you're Barracuda / Sharks, like we'll give you an opportunity. If you stick around, you stick around. If not, like we can send you back to the WHL. Yeah, that didn't happen. He stuck around because he was so good. Yeah, I've seen the production dip recently, but I think that's more of Lucas Carlson, who missed the first chunk of the season, was coming off ACL injury. Really dynamic scorer for like in the AHL as a defenseman. He's now really kind of found his groove, and I think maybe kind of eaten in on some of Luca Cagnoni's opportunities, but that's fine. Like this is a really good Barracuda team. Luca Cagnoni's kind of playing third pair minutes. He's still playing a lot. He's playing on the power play. It's a very good power play. Like this is he's in a really good situation to develop and succeed because of the pieces around him, right? Where you have guys like Jimmy Schultz and Lucas Carlson, and Keane and some of these other veterans around who can kind of help insulate him and protect him a little bit. But you see, if you watch any Barracuda games, like you see Cagnoni is not afraid to, kind of mix it up. Yes, he's always going to be 5'9". There's nothing you can do about that, but uses his size to his advantage when he can. And I think he plays solid enough in his own zone, and especially along the boards where like areas that you would kind of expect him to maybe kind of get taken advantage. He plays fine in those areas. And, he's going to be a position, like he needs to be better. Like he needs to be a position tactician for him to succeed in the NHL. But I think he's going to be, I believe in Cagnoni. I think he's going to be an NHL player, and I think he's going to be a really, really good NHL player for the Sharks. So yeah, he's had a great season for the Barracuda, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon. And I think he's realist. Like, I still think he plays NHL games this year. I still think he plays NHL games, not because, again, like, they're not going to give him NHL games. I think he's just going to continue to earn that opportunity. And I think he's going to play NHL games this year. Is it going to be a ton? No, but I still think he plays NHL games at some point this year. So, because he deserves it. We'll continue looking at some of these late round guys, see if there's any potential gems there. Eric Polkamp, looking at you. So we'll finish up the 2023 draft class and kind of do a nice recap here in just 1 second. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. There's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Again, give me Josh Allen. Give me all the Josh Allen touchdowns. I think the Broncos, nice season from the Broncos, but I think the Bills romp them. I'm not worried about the points. I just think this is going to be one of those just Bills Mafia victory days where they are just feeling themselves this weekend. So if you believe me, you can go check over at FanDuel.com. Join today. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, let's finish up by looking at some of these late round guys. Axel Landon, 5th round pick, playing over in Sweden. He split his time, not split, but he started this season in the SHL. He played 4 games. He was playing like 5 minutes a night. Of course, no kind of production at all when you're playing 5 minutes a night. Got lent over to the Hockey Allsvenskan. Just as a reminder, right? You have SHL, which is like their kind of top league. Hockey Allsvenskan is kind of the second league. They have relegation, all that fun stuff over there. So playing in a Hockey Allsvenskan, he's played 28 games, has a goal, 5 assists, 32 shots on goal, and is playing about 18 minutes a night over there. So Landon is going to be a big physical stay-at-home type of defenseman. Like, you're not going to get a bunch of offensive production from him. So let him play. He's going to be over there for the next few years. There's no need to rush him type of thing. I have not gotten a chance to watch Axel Landon this year, unfortunately. But would rather him play 18 minutes a night in the Hockey Allsvenskan League than play 5 minutes a night in the SHL. And I think the SHL is a better league, but ice time is what he needs. So I think that's kind of he's going to spend the whole season playing there. So next guy, another 5th round pick, Eric Polkamp, friend of the show, of course, transferred to University of Denver this season after playing with Bemidji State last year. 20 games, 4 goals, 12 assists, 64 shots on goal. Polkamp's having a really nice season with Denver. I've talked about it before. I think he's going to make the Sharks kind of have a big decision on what to do with him this offseason if he potentially signs his ELC. Just a reminder, he was an overager, so he could have been part of the 2022 draft. So he's a little bit older. So, 2 seasons after playing, a couple seasons at USHL, now 2 seasons in college here. Do the Sharks send him back for another season with Denver, especially with, a Denver team that's going to be really good? They're very good. And then for Polkamp, right, you could potentially go out. You have a feeling Zebullium is probably going to sign. Maybe you could kind of be the guy next year on the blue line, especially if Zebullium does sign his ELC and joins the Minnesota Wild. So I'm curious to see if he has a big tournament, though. He could be a guy who signs it. He could be playing, professional hockey here sooner rather than later, because I think for him, he's not the biggest guy, like he's 5'10" or whatever, but he's like a bowling ball. He's great two-way player who I think, one, loves to shoot the puck, but two, I think he's really good in transition, especially along the blue line at stopping guy, like just kind of ending the transition right there on the blue line. So he's gonna be an interesting decision what to do for the Sharks here. All right, 7th round pick David Klee, playing his age 20 season here in the USHL with the Muskegon Lumberjacks. 30 games, 13 goals, 11 assists, 74 shots on goal. I'll admit I have not watched much of Klee this year. He's going to be playing with North Dakota State next year. That's where he's committed to. I think for him, he's kind of just one of those guys who's probably going to be spending the next, 4 years or 3 years or whatever he can play at North Dakota. I don't know if it's 3 or 4 with this, probably 4 still. But anyway, and then you just kind of see if you have anything from him. He's going to be a physical guy. That's kind of his calling card, though, of his style of play. So, and then finally, Igor Ramashevsky. I had it before. Anyway, 7th round pick. He's playing over in the KHL. 37 games, 4 goals, 7 assists. I got to watch him a little bit, actually, because he was teammates with Igor Chernyshov, who the Sharks, of course, picked in the 2nd round of this year's draft. So when I was kind of breaking down Chernyshov's tape, got to watch a lot of him as well. Loves playing offense. That was the thing. That was kind of the funny thing in his draft guide was they never met a guy who loved to kind of just get out of the zone, defensive zone as quickly as him. He is getting better at playing his own zone, but definitely still loves to play offense. Again, is one of these, like these 7th round picks are just flyers. You're hoping that they potentially come to something. If he could potentially be like a scoring, Kevin LeBanc role type of guy, going to provide some scoring, maybe not give you everything defensively, especially early in LeBanc's career. That's probably what you're getting out of him, and if he ever comes over. So again, 7th round pick, they're definitely worth flyers to take there. So I think though for this 2023 draft class, like, I still really believe heavily in this draft class. And I think this is going to be a lot of these guys are going to be huge pieces for the Sharks in this rebuild, right? Quentin Musty, who again, maybe not the best if he could probably redo this year, probably just report straight to camp, right? And if you break your hand, you break your hand. Not much you can do there. But I still believe in Musty a lot, and I think playing next year in the AHL is going to do him wonders, just to kind of get that professional coaching and be able to kind of work on that defensive side of his game, because the scoring is there, the offensive gifts are there, and I think just rounding out that part of his game is going to be something he's going to need to work on. Will Smith, I believe, like especially with Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith's your 2nd line center, you're going to have a massive advantage against most teams in the NHL. In that department there. Like, I'm so high on Will Smith. Kasper Halttunen, I think, again, is going to be like a huge piece, again, like that role player. Maybe he's not going to drive a line, but he doesn't need to if you're playing with Macklin Celebrini or Will Smith. Like, he's going to have a really nice role, and needs to work on that first step, and I think needs to continue to kind of focus on staying in shape. Luca Cagnoni, like, there's so many pieces and players that to really like in this draft. And while this year maybe hasn't gone the way you'd like it for some of these guys, remember, development isn't a straight line. Like, there's ups and downs with it, and some of these guys are just kind of hitting those little downs right now. But I think this draft class is going to shape up to be a big piece of the Sharks' future, and it's looking like Mike Greer really hit some of these picks out of the park, especially if Quentin Musty has a big second half of the season and kind of maybe makes his AHL debut. Like, you're gonna probably feel a lot better about Musty compared to now, just because we haven't gotten to see him play. So that's gonna be it for me today. We'll probably maybe start looking at the trade deadline tomorrow, kind of see. Looking at the Sharks roster, kind of who's safe, who could potentially be gone. all that fun stuff. So make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Till tomorrow. Bye, friends.